Today we're going over Chrome extensions, and I'll be dividing this video into 3 different categories for these extensions. The first one is going to be online shopping, the second is going to be browsing experience, and finally we're going over my favorite ones for content consumption. Timestamps are shown here as well as in the description below. Like probably the majority of you, I do a bunch of shopping over on Amazon, and over the years I've come to depend on 2 plugins. One is the Camelizer, also known as Camel. Yeah, it's a weird name, but don't let that fool you, this is a fantastic plugin. So let's move over to the screen so I can show you. Alright, so this plugin actually does 2 things. The first is that it provides a price history on every Amazon item. So let's come over here and pull up Amazon. Okay, and let's pull up any item, it doesn't really matter what it is. Let's take a look at the Stream Deck, for instance. And we pull up the Camelizer by pressing the plugin here. It's going to tell us all the price history on Amazon. So we can see here, it hovers quite a lot actually. So we have the lowest price at $100 and the highest price at $150. And you can see the price fluctuations by month or 3 months. And you can make a choice based on it. So based on a 3-month chart, you can see here we had a little sale here, which I can only assume is Black Friday on that year. But then it's been relatively stable at the $130 mark. You wouldn't believe the amount of times I went on Amazon to find the product, saw the price, pulled up this plugin right here, and realized that it's usually considerably cheaper than what they were asking for on that specific day. When this happens, I usually just give it a couple days, maybe a week, and most of the time it goes back to those lower prices. And many times that price difference is actually substantial. Sometimes it's up to $100, $200, so it's definitely worth getting this plugin and checking if you're not buying a price that it's almost guaranteed to be lower in a couple days. So yeah, highly recommend it. And this also goes both ways, because sometimes I'm undecisive if a price is fair, and upon opening up this plugin, I can see that it has been basically the same price for the last year or so, and this makes me a lot more comfortable to buy something knowing I'm not getting a price that has a very high chance of being lower in a couple days. The second very useful feature is price alerts. You can use this plugin, Camelizer or Camel, to alert you on a price change based on your parameters. And you can do so right here. You see here desired price. You can do just 5%, 10%, or you can put in any number that you want and save price changes, and all you need is an email address. And if it ever hits that price, you will get an email automatically. And this is a very easy way to save money. This is amazing for those products that you want to eventually have but don't want to pay that price right now. Look no further than this mic right here, the Shure SM7B. I was perfectly happy with my previous mic, but I knew I would eventually upgrade to something better like this one, but I was in no rush. So, I pulled up the Camelizer, I set my price alert for something I thought would take months or even years to get to, and the month after, I believe it was a Black Friday or a Christmas sale, and it dropped to that price, so I essentially got this amazing mic at an all-time low for 0 effort. Unfortunately, this extension is not available for Safari, but there's an alternative called Keepa. It's pretty good, I still prefer the Camelizer, but if you're a Safari user and have no intention of migrating out of it, that's a decent option for you. The second extension is called FakeSpot Reviews. Unfortunately, as the years have gone by, Amazon has had an increasing amount of fake reviews, so the community developed this app that analyzes the reviews of a product and gives it a score from A to F. The score is based on what its algorithm estimates are genuine reviews or not. You can see the extension is right here, and once enabled, it will automatically load on every Amazon page. And you can see it has right here a score for the Stream Deck by Elgato over here. And if we exit out of this, you can see that it also displays a letter from A to F over every product that it has reviews for. If you go into a product page that it doesn't have a rating for, all you gotta do is press Analyze Reviews. So definitely there's a lot of products there's no reviews for, because the way this works is that it's community based. So if last week a user went on this Stream Deck page and pressed Analyze Reviews, it knows that there's no need to reanalyze everything, a day or 2 after. So it's going to keep the same review over here. So if you find a product for which the plugin has not yet given a rating, you can just press on it, and once you see the FakeSpot review load here, all you got to do is reanalyze reviews. Oh, this is actually a perfect example. So you see here, it's telling us this is an older analysis. So in here, you can just press reanalyze reviews. So yeah, if you're browsing for products that are very popular, you're going to see that the majority of them will have a FakeSpot review analysis. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. Another way this is really useful is when I'm indecisive between competitive products that are very similar in every way, including price. If one has a higher score on FakeSpot, that's an easy way to differentiate between two products. All right, so now let's move on to my plugins that make my browsing experience significantly better. And the first one is called SimilarWeb. So if you come over here to Amazon or any website really, and you press over on SimilarWeb, it's going to tell you, the average visits over time. So this here is between these dates, and obviously Amazon is massively popular, so these numbers are in the billions. And it tells you, the top 5 countries based on desktop only that were on this website, and a bunch of traffic sources if they came through search, referrals, and all that. So yeah, very, very useful. This is particularly useful if you're using a website you've never used before and you would like to see if it's a popular website or not. For instance, last week I was booking a hotel and I saw that there was a deal on this website I had never heard of. I pulled up SimilarWeb and it turns out it was a massively popular website, and in fact I was even surprised I had never heard of it. Of course, you shouldn't base your trust on a website solely on the amount of views it has, but it's definitely an important factor. One thing to note about SimilarWeb is if you're analyzing a website that has, maybe 50 or 100,000 hits a month, it's definitely a lot, but it's nothing compared to a very popular website. It might not have anything on SimilarWeb. It's only useful for websites that have a very decent amount of traffic. If it hovers over the low end type of traffic, you'll see nothing at all. So yeah, definitely recommend it. Next up we have 1Password, which is my password manager of choice. I like 1Password as I found it to be the one that worked best with the Apple ecosystem, but I'm not going to go too deep on this one because I've tried plenty of different password managers, and one thing they all had in common was that they all had fairly decent browser plugins that worked very well and were very user-friendly. What I like about 1Password is how convenient it is with the Apple ecosystem. I can even unlock it using my Apple Watch, and it works really well. But whatever you choose, it will have a browser plugin, and I count that as a must. All right, so I have a bonus one here. I placed it as a bonus because it is useful, but not something I can't be without. And this one is called Images, but spelled with a U, and it's right here. And the main purpose of this is that it's used to expand a small picture by simply hovering over it. And this is particularly useful in forums like Reddit, where a lot of the pictures are small until you click on the post. And it also works on Imager links. So if we come over here to Reddit, and I'm sorry it's not on dark mode, we come over here to say, Windows 11, and once you hover over a picture, you will get the full version of it. So if you come over here, sometimes, it's not useful at all, but other times like this one, you can see how useful this gets, right? And if you're someone that browses Reddit or Reddit-like forums online on your desktop computer, it's going to be very useful to have something like this because you're not going to have to click on every post just to see the picture inside. And this works on most websites, even on YouTube profile pictures. And speaking of YouTube, let's move on to the content consumption list of plugins. And if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, these ones are a must. All right, so have you ever clicked on a YouTube video that didn't match the resolution of your screen? Maybe you have a regular Full HD screen, but the video defaults to 720p or worse. Or maybe you have a 4K screen and the video defaults to 1080p. Sometimes this has a purpose. Sometimes, your connection is not strong enough to play a 4K video without buffering. But most of the time you do have a strong enough connection, and this will still happen. And for those times, that's when this plugin comes in useful, because I've tried, tweaking the YouTube built-in settings and tell it to always default to 4K in my case, but it never did. And once I installed this plugin, every video goes straight to 4K. It's called Auto Quality for YouTube, and all you gotta do is click on it and choose the default quality. And next time you go on YouTube, it's going to show the correct one. So if you come over here to auto quality and you press on it, then you go to options, it's going to ask you default quality. And all you got to do is come over here and, if you have a 1080p screen, press this one or this one, etc. And once you press on it and you click save, you can go onto any YouTube video and it's going to default to 4K. All right, so this next one is called Memex, and I have gone over this in episode 4 of my Obsidian series. And if you want to take notes on YouTube videos, there really is nothing better than this. The way it works is that you can use it to take notes on the videos you're watching, and you can easily insert timestamps in between your notes. And once you're done with a video, you can export those into your software of choice, such as Obsidian or Notion. So let's come over here to one of my last videos to use as an example. And once the extension is enabled, all you gotta do is press Option Q. Every time you wanna take a note, all you gotta do is press Command Y to insert a timestamp, and you can take the note that you want to take right here. And then let's assume you're watching the video and you see something that you want to take a note on, Command Y once more, so it pulls a timestamp, and then we put note 2, And these timestamps are not just numbers here, right? You press on it and it will take you to that part of the video on a new link. So once you're done with everything, you can simply export this into Obsidian or Notion or whatever it is that you use to take notes on. There's more to this plugin, and if you're interested in a more detailed overview of it, I'm going to leave a link to that video where I go into more detail right here. Okay, so the bonus for this category is a video speed controller. And there are plenty of extensions to control the speed of a video, and this applies to any kind of video on any website, not just YouTube. And my plugin of choice for this one is called Video Speed Controller. And you can assign keyboard keys to speed up or speed down your video. So if we come over here to our Video Speed Controller extension and we press Settings, we can decide which keys to use to speed things up and by how much. And I actually use a minus sign to decrease speed, and I actually decrease it by 0.25. And to increase speed, I personally like to use the plus sign. I don't know, it's just more intuitive. And once you're done, you come over here and you press save. And then you can come back to the video and refresh the page. And now you can see over here on the top left corner, you can press plus and I'll speed things up quite a lot, and minus to slow things up to whatever level you want. So yeah, definitely recommend it. I think it's a must. And remember, this works on most videos on most websites, so it's not just YouTube. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you found it useful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.